We're making salmon patties today, but I'm going to give you my take and add a few more things to it. Plus, we're going to make a tasty sauce to dip these in. So delicious. I know you're going to love this recipe. Salmon patties became popularized during the Great Depression. Back then, a can of salmon was only 5 cents. It was affordable and accessible and an awesome source of protein. But also back then, all they would put in there is eggs and some sort of flour, cornmeal, or saltines, which is what we're going to use in this recipe, and a bunch more good stuff. We're first going to start off by making that sauce. Sound good? Let's cook. In a medium-sized bowl, I have a half cup of creme fraiche. You can use store-bought. I have a great recipe on my website as well. If you can't get a hold of this, then sour cream will absolutely work. Next, we're going to add a half cup of mayonnaise to the bowl with the creme fraiche. I also have a great recipe for homemade mayo if you want it. And now we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of finely sliced fresh chives and 2 tablespoons of finely diced fresh dill. If you don't have fresh dill, you can use 1.5 tablespoons of dry. Next, 1 finely minced garlic clove. We're going to squeeze in the juice of a half lemon. Going to add some really good citrus notes to this sauce. The next thing we want to do is season it up well with salt and fresh cracked black pepper. Then, using a whisk, combine everything until it is mixed together. Now, the sauce should be a little bit thick and a little bit runny, so you can sort of pour it on there. This is perfect consistency. If it's too thick, add a little milk. If it's too thin, add a little bit more mayonnaise. We're going to set it to the side in the refrigerator. Really quickly, this sauce will be good covered in the refrigerator for up to 7 days, and it would be awesome on just about any shellfish or fish recipe. It would probably be good on chicken or even pork as well. That's why I made a little extra for some other recipes. Okay, now for the salmon patties. I have 1 large red onion, but we only need about 1/4 of it. So we're going to slice off the ends, then we're going to slice it in half, take off that outside peel, and then we're going to slice one of the halves in half again. Then using that, we are going to small dice it. You definitely want to small dice this. You're not going to want large, big chunks in your salmon patties. One, it makes it hard for it to hold together, but also you don't want an onion-forward tasting salmon patty. Next, a red bell pepper. I just slice off the outside around the pith and the seeds on the inside, then slice off the end. And then we are going to small dice these as well. And just like the red onions, you don't want big chunks of red bell pepper in there. And a reason I use red pepper is, I don't know, it just tastes so much better than green bell peppers. You could also use yellow or orange. Get some of that sweetness goodness out of there. We're going to add it right to the bowl with the onions, and then next we're going to add in 2 finely minced garlic cloves. You know me, going straight through a garlic press, my friends. And now what we want to do is zest up 1 lemon. I'm going to be using a fine zester or a microplane. Be sure to give it a few knocks to get it off the microplane because there's a lot of good zest up in there. And then I'm going to squeeze in that lemon, get all that juice out of there. Sometimes I use my other hand to catch the seeds. Well, no seeds this time. Perfect. And now what we want to do is add in 2 tablespoons of fresh chopped dill. You can use 1.5 tablespoons if you only have dry. The next thing we're going to do is add in 4 thinly sliced green onions. And now I have 3 eggs, and using a fork or using a whisk, whatever you have, just whisk this together until completely combined, like you're making scrambled eggs. Set it to the side. Now, for the crackers, I'm going to be using one of those long sleeves in the saltine box. It's the perfect amount. Take those and add them to a food processor, put on the top, and then what I like to do is just pulse it on high speed. You're essentially wanting to break these down until it becomes like a meal. So very, very finely chopped up. And the food processor is a great way. If you wanted to, you could add it to a plastic zip bag and hit it with a mallet a few hundred times. Set it to the side. Now I have 1.5 pounds of fresh wild-caught salmon. If for some reason you don't want to use fresh salmon or you don't have access to it, but you do have access to canned, I definitely recommend using any wild-caught canned salmon. Plus, each canned salmon is 14.75 ounces. That's going to put us 4 ounces above this 1.5 pounds. What you will need to do is add in a tablespoon of the liquid from the can. I know you're going to drain it. Save a little tablespoon to the side. Add it in there. You'll be totally good. This recipe will work. Okay, here's what we do next. Let's transfer that fresh salmon right down to the cutting board. The first thing I'm going to do is remove some of that belly fat, and oftentimes you'll get this if you go straight from the fish department at your local grocery store or fishmonger. You'll get some of that on there. Just trim that off. Now, to remove the skin, go to the very end, slice down just until you get to the skin, lift up, Using a paper towel, grab that skin and then let your sharp knife do the work. Move that skin back and forth and having that knife at a nice angle, and you will get a very clean salmon. Look, no salmon on the skin. Check the other side of the salmon, flip it over. If you see any skin chunks, just gently slice them off. Now what we want to do is roughly cut this into 2-inch squares, just going to help in the food processor. So once everything is in there, just going to remove my gloves here, put the top on, and then we want to pulse on high speed until it becomes a combination of a salmon paste with a few little small chunks in there. This is absolutely perfect. Think of what it would look like if it came out of a can. Excellent. We're next going to transfer this over right to that bowl with all the vegetables and herbs we cut up. Use a rubber spatula because you are going to want to get all of that goodness out of there. It will only make more salmon patties for you. Now, grab in those finely chopped up saltine crackers. Next, followed up with the 3 eggs that we whisked up. And then what we want to do is season it up with salt and fresh cracked black pepper. I know they're saltines, but it's not quite salty enough. And I like to hit it with a few dashes of Tabasco sauce for a little spice in there. And now using a spoon or rubber spatula, I recommend just using clean hands or gloves on hands because you're going to need to make patties anyways. So mix all of these ingredients until they are completely combined. Take the time to do this. You got a lot of herbs and spices in there and vegetables. They need to be incorporated. Stopping really quick to say this. Don't worry if that salmon batter is just a little bit wet. The saltine crackers are going to soak all that goodness up. It will firm up. I promise you, it will be perfect. They will brown up in this pan like no other. Okay, let's get to cooking. Time to form some patties. You want to take about 3 to 4 ounces or a nice large golf ball size. Roll it around in your hand. Give it a little pat down. Perfect. We're just going to set them to the side on a cookie sheet tray lined with parchment paper until all of the batter has been used. And at this point, let's go straight over to a large frying pan or pot. We are going to add in a 1/3 cup of oil. You can use any of your favorite oil, olive oil, avocado oil, all will work. Crank the heat on to medium low, about 350 degrees. You know when it's good. Add a little flour in there. If it fries but it doesn't burn, perfect. Now what we want to do is add in our salmon patties. Now, unless you have an absolutely giant frying pan, you're going to need to do this in batches. We are going to cook them for in between 2.5 and 3 minutes per side. That is all it's going to take for these salmon patties to finish cooking. Give them a little flip, finish them up for another 2.5 to 3 minutes or until golden brown and cook through. And then at that point, what I like to do is remove them and set them to the side on a paper towel and finish up the other batch and then serve everything up. Understanding and putting into practice fundamental cooking techniques will absolutely help elevate your everyday cooking, and that's what it's all about. Making a tasty sauce, complementing flavors with that salmon, making sure that batter is perfect so they brown up perfect. This is so good. Okay, I do have a few tips on how to plate this up. Here's how you do it. At one of the restaurants I used to work at, we used to lay them down on a bed of microgreens. Now, any microgreens will work. If you don't have access to that, even any leafy greens like a spring mix would be fantastic. Now, what I like to do is sort of fan out and layer on the salmon cakes around the microgreens. Of course, let's not forget a nice big ramekin of that lemon dill sauce. I like to add on a few lemon slices as well, just in case anyone likes that. I have a little bit of leftover chive and fresh chopped dill from the sauce. Why not sprinkle it all over the top? So delicious, and oh my gosh, let's get in this.